Thanks. Good morning, everyone. My apologies for coming to you via the online portal, but regrettably picked up some sort of a little bug, so do not wish to share. We received apologies this morning, yesterday and last night from the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor, and so I get the honour of opening the meeting at 9:14 this morning. So the first order of business, if we could take a leave of absence for the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. And Susan, the screen isn't so good from this side, so if you can help with movers and seconders, please. Once we accept the leave of absence for the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, the meeting will need to select a chair in accordance with our meeting procedures from the floor. So we'll be calling for a nomination for a chair from the floor, and then I'll be handing it over to the chair. So if we could have a mover, please, for a leave of absence for Mayor and Deputy Mayor.
Move
Councillor Henson.
Councillor Henson.
and Councillor Potter, so second.
Thank you. As I said, my apologies, my screen just isn't that easy to see. I'll just wait for that to get up. For family, oh yeah, thank you. All in favour?
Unanimous.
All right. Given that we have those apologies, I would ask for a nomination from the floor to chair today, please.
Yeah, Mr. CEO, Councillor Henson, be happy to chair the meeting in the response to our other councillors in the chambers.
Yep. Do we have someone move that nomination, please?
I'll move that. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Councillor Shoemaker, second.
Councillor Potter, second.
Okay. Are there any further nominations? If not, we'll go to the vote. All in favour? Unanimous vote by the looks.
Yes.
Yep, thank you. All right, Councillor Henson, if you'd like to move up next to General Manager Jarvis, the chair's yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO and councillors and participants in the chambers this morning. I'd like to go to section 2, order of business today with our, section 3, recognition of traditional owners, and would like to call on Councillor Duff, please. Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge country and the land where we meet this morning, the Waka Waka land, and acknowledge the elders both past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Moving on to item number 4, declaration of interest. Is there any councillors or members have anything to declare of interest? No? No? No, we have nothing. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 5, confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. There's 5.1, the minutes of the Budget Committee meeting held on the 2nd of June. Sorry? I've got the 2nd of June on mine, sorry. Okay, on the 3rd of June. Mine reads the 2nd of June. My apologies. Do we have a mover? Councillor Duff. A seconder? Anybody? Councillor Potter. Thank you, Councillor Potter. Any members wishing to speak on confirmation of minutes? No? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Councillor Shoemaker, Perkins, Duff and Potter. Item number 6, business, communities budget 2021. That's on page 12. Our community's budget for 2021. The summary is the consideration of the 21-22 operational capital budgets for the community's business unit. Oh, well, beg your pardon. I've been handed something different, have I? What have you got, Ken? My apologies. I have a different set of paper. Are we right? We just take a minute to sort our paperwork out. What's this one? Oh no, that's the wrong one too. Oh, that's okay.
If the council can just bear with us a moment, we'll just organise to have the agenda printed, just a hard copies printed for you there.
Right. Yeah, I want one, please. Yeah. I file it. I keep it in record. Don't throw anything out. That goes right down to my kitchen, my laundry, my shed. Bit of a setup, that, wasn't it? Funny when I read it over there, I'm thinking, it doesn't seem right. And I just went to the confidential section and thought, we would be. All right, welcome back. Apologise for that little hiccup in the paperwork there. We now have it on screen in front of us for all our councillors. Everybody happy, right, with what they've got in front of them? Yep, we'll continue on. 6.1, Comprehensive Operational Income Statement. The summary is Council's annual budget is a financial planning document that is to be adopted in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 and the Local Government Regulation 2012 as part of establishing financial management. The content of the annual budget is prescribed in section 169 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. And it is our officer's recommendation that the committee recommends to council that the comprehensive operational income statement for 2022 and 2023 be endorsed and be presented for adoption at the council meeting held on the 8th of July 2022. Do we have a mover for that, please? Councillor Potter, and a seconder, Councillor Duff. Speakers? Any speakers? No speakers? All those in favour? All right, just before we go to moving all those in favour, Kerry, would you like to add some commentary on this document, please?
Sure. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so the draft operational budget in front of you guys today is the same one that we looked at on Monday in the workshop. The only thing we have added in is that we've put in the allocation for half of the Black Summer grant. So there was an increase of $800,000 in the operational grants, and then that's been split out between employee benefits, materials and services, and plant. So it still has a net effect overall. So the operating surplus, the operating deficit for the year is still at that 3.5 million, which is 500,000 more than this current financial year. We will have some discussion around the employee benefits and what we decided to do there in the confidential section a bit later. But otherwise, everything is as how we've been looking at it as we've been going through the budget workshops so far.
Thank you, Kerry. Manager Jarvis, have you anything to add to that?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Kerry's summary was excellent there. So I just wanted to draw Council's attention to the fact that this draft budget has been presented in accordance with the workshops held by councillors or with councillors over the last several months. So it's I think a sensible budget and a responsible budget. We have held the deficit there steady as far as the same as last year's, excluding, we've absorbed all of the extra increases in materials and services, and the additional deficit of the 513,000 is due to the FAGS grant that was reduced early on in the year. So I think that this is an excellent budget with the increases there experienced worldwide. To hold this budget the same, I think, is just a testament to the amount of work put in by the staff and the directions that Council has given us to deliver this budget. So if there's any further, if any councillors want to drill down any further and ask any other questions, happy to answer.
Thank you, Manager Sir Jarvis. Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Acting Chair. I just wanted to ask about the fees and charges because I wasn't here on Monday, and I was just wanting to know what was decided about the footpath fees for the business owners to have their displays on the footpath. What did we decide with regards to how much we're charging those business owners? Because I was the Mergen Business and Development Association used to do it for free and collect the information, public liability, and then they actually suggested that perhaps we could put that out to all of the business associations across the South Burnett to consider doing that on behalf of their chambers for the businesses, just so that they could have that fee waived. Just wondering what happened with that.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. So the discussions had around the footpath permits on Monday. Council had gone with the decision, or had recommended that basically instead of having an application fee and then a renewal fee each year, that we would just have basically one set fee, which would be reduced down to $52 plus GST if there's GST in the permit. And that would be it. That would be all they would have to pay, instead of the, I think it was 175 for an initial application, and then it was around 80 or so for a yearly renewal. So it would just be that set, basically $1 a week.
Councillor Oakins, yeah.
I actually voted for that $50. However, when I did it, I wasn't aware that Mergen had already had an arrangement with council, that the Mergen Business Association, they made sure that the businesses had their public liability and they complied with the rules. So therefore, and then the Mergen businesses weren't charged, because apparently the figure that was being charged was basically what covered the administration of it. So if the business representatives did it, then it would take away the costs, the administration costs from council, and it would be the businesses themselves if we could do that. So I'd be more inclined to do what Mergen have been doing, and that it's run by the organisations, the business organisations, and there was no charge.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Yeah, I think on the discussion held previously, we tried to make it fair and equitable across the whole Burnett, and can certainly appreciate and understand Mergen's position there. But that will probably come back to council next week, and we'll be looking at fees and charges there again. So we can perhaps bring that up, further discussion. Is that suitable for you, Councillor Manager Jarvis, and other councillors? CEO Mr. Mark, yes.
Yeah, thanks, Acting Chair. Certainly, we've got Michael coming back on Monday to talk about dog registration fees. So some of those fees and charges aren't resolved, and there's no formal decision today. So when Michael's talking about the dog registration fees again on Monday, because there was some more information to come back with that, we'll get him to add back in the footpath dining permit if that's suitable.
Yep.
Okay, thanks, Mr. CEO. Councillor Erkins, you happy with that response? Thank you. Councillor Potter. Oh, they were flashing lights this morning. Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you, Acting Chair. Yes, I'm in agreement with the motion before us and all of the work that's gone into the draft plan for the Communities Department. I think that these services, while they don't actually return a lot of income for council, they're critical services to the livability and the lifestyles of our community. There's been an enormous amount of work going through each general ledger, line by line, for communities, libraries, environmental health planning facilities and parks. And with all of that in mind and the work that's been done to date, I'm very comfortable. I think it's actually pretty amazing when we've looked at the service levels that variance isn't, to be honest, higher. I think it's pretty amazing that we've been able to claw back dollars and continue to deliver the services that we've believe our community needs to be prosperous into the future, and to do that despite all of the challenges with a $513,000 variance, I think is pretty incredible. I honestly didn't think that was achievable at the beginning of this conversation. So I'm fully supportive of the operational income statement and endorsing the information before us, and look forward to further work on that fees and charges schedule.
Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Yes, when you do look at those lines there under the current climate, $500,000, and we look at materials, plant and services, and we don't have to go far to understand and appreciate certainly the work that's been done in this document and on those figures. Incredible. I mean, you know, we're dealing with 10, 20 and 30% increases in all of that, be it materials, plant and services. And yes, Councillor Shoemaker, to see those figures there and to be some $500,000 is an incredible result. So good work to the team there, and certainly look forward to the further discussions in trying to bring this budget down on the 8th of July. It's been a massive task. We've been in here, and for the public, Mondays and Fridays in here for months. It seems like months. It's been long and arduous, but we look forward to a positive result on the 8th of July. So good work to all the finance team and staff there, councillors and managers.
Through you, Acting Chair, just the depreciation line there, I see it's a variance of $1.667569. I just want to confirm that was a result of the revaluation that's occurred and not the desktop analysis that's been undertaken. Perhaps that's a question for GM Jarvis.
Manager Jarvis.
Thank you, through you. Mr. Chair, I preempted your question, councillor, and I asked our little expert over there for more information on that depreciation. The 1.6 mil, I have a report here from the income statement. The variation between the annual budget is 1.6, and that was based on a 1.4% increase overall on the asset classes there. So that was only, and then the variance between that was only $1,000, which was the adjustments at the third quarter. But I will, if through the chair, ask Max to give that in more detail, but that's a good pickup. And I would like, after that, ask the chair his permission there just to speak to those services and materials that the chair did pick up as well.
Yeah, thanks, Manager Jarvis. Yes, thanks, Max.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, of the 1.6 mil variance, 1.437, I think from memory, was the increase due to the indexation revaluation. That's across each asset class. So there were different indices applied to each asset class, but 1.4 was the overall increase to SBRC due to that desktop or index revaluation. The additional, I think, 230 is the extra on top of that, and that is just the increase due to the capital programs. So the assets that we build, renew, we have to obviously capitalise those costs and they go onto our register. We do have corresponding disposals with each of those programs as well, so that's why the variance is only quite minor across our whole capital program.
Thanks, Max. Councillor Shoemaker.
Oh, Danita.
Is it fair to say that? Is it fair to say if, in the instance where, there wasn't that adjustment increase due to the indexation on the revaluation, this budget would actually be in surplus?
Yes, thank you. Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Jarvis or Max? Oh, it's you. Councillor Potter.
Jarvis, Susan, to say something.
Well, you're flashing.
Because it's flashing, it won't work. There you
Sorry, Max. Yeah, go ahead, Max.
go. Done.
If we didn't have an indexation applied this predicted for 22-23, the change in depreciation would only be the 230,000, which wouldn't bring the deficit. The deficit is the 3.5, so it would reduce by 1.4. So the budget wouldn't be in surplus, but our, I suppose, change between the 2.9 last year and the deficit this year would be, we would be looking at a better deficit than what was last year if we didn't have that, yes.
Thanks, Max. Yep. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, through you, Chair, just curious, with regards to the fees and charges, what is the drop there, the 24,000 drop in fees and charges due to?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Manager.
through you, Mr. Chair. The reduction, the 24,000 reduction, is the reduction. We've predicted a decrease in rate searches. The boom there, we're anticipating that will drop, and also building applications as a result there of the drop. So we would prefer to understate revenue than overstate revenue. So we've done that assumption based on the prediction going forward that this is not going to last, and especially with the interest rates now coming up, we can see that boom is going to drop very soon, Councillor.
Thank you, Manager Jarvis. Any further questions or commentary?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, please, I'll just speak to that. They're just statements there raised by Councillor Shoemaker there, where she says the materials there. The materials have increased on last year by $987,000, but part of that increase is $634,000 has been increased because of fuel costs. So I just thought I'd bring that. We've absorbed that. This is another thing where we've really, through council's decision making, we've really just stripped away as much as we possibly can to absorb that sort of shock, and also another part of that is 336,000 is for IT licenses there. So that's where the major part of that increase comes from. And as far as your services goes there, the increase in your services over last year is 217,000. And that the main increase there, or the main impact, is 215,000 on cleaning contractors. So I just thought I'd again highlight to council that we have absorbed all of that into this budget to come up with only a $500,000 deficit on last year. We've absorbed all of those costs. And just highlighting there to your grants and subsidies, you'll read there that it's we have an increase in your operational grants there of 168,000 plus the 800,000 that Manager Carey has just alluded to. So you're looking at 900, rounded up $1 million increase, but they're offset by a lot of grants. So you'll find those down there in your materials and services. They're offset. They don't touch your bottom line. It's a negative effect on your bottom line, but it does look like we've increased our revenue, which we haven't as far as the that's, you'll read there in the income statement, that's where you'll find your FAGs, your financial assistance grants there. So if you're wondering why there's an increase there and we're telling you there's a decrease, it's down in your expenditure, it's offset, it's netted out.
Thank you, Manager Sue Jarvis. Just a question, two questions in the fuel in relation to fuel. This time last year we were sitting here, I think we were talking $1.50, and we drive past Bowsers today on the street and they're $2.09. In my travels yesterday I saw fuel at $2.15 across the range last night. That is scary, of course, as to where fuel may go, along with, and a little bit of clarity just on employee benefits, and perhaps CEO Mr. Mark, you touched on this. We had a conversation the other day, and I know we've got it in the confidential section today, but there's a 531,000 alteration there. That's obviously something that we will review perhaps down the quarters. Would that be a fair comment? Sorry, yeah, Manager Jarvis.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to speak to that. Just are you referring to, sorry, the employee benefits here, the 231,000 increase, Councillor?
Yes.
That must be the old one, isn't it?
No, 531, 652.
Yeah, just on my figures, and I'm happy we can certainly Kerry or Max. There's I've got, and I'm not sure other councillors. I've got 531,652. Is that figures that you're looking at?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we're having a terrible problem with getting old versions and new versions. I have the old version apparently. This has been updated since Monday, my version. The 231,000, the difference there that I'm quoting is that's an increase in the levels throughout the organisation, so increment levels. So if people go up an increment per the year, that's where they that's captured, plus an increase in on costs there. And the other 300,000 you're referring to, the 500,000, is that black forest or something fire grant there.
Summer
That's
fire.
where the difference is. I beg your pardon. So
No, that's okay. Thank you, Manager Jarvis. CEO Mr. Mark, are you commenting?
Yeah. Thanks, Acting Chair. And the General Manager Jarvis covered it lovely. There is a degree of natural progression through increments. We will touch on some more detail with it. So that was in it. But Manager Carey has also folded in the grant funding, so that nets itself out in revenue and expenditure for those positions.
Okay. Short answer, sweet. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Any further comments or commentary? Oh, Councillor Shoemaker.
Just wanted to check. It is wonderful to see all that work come together in on one page. It's pretty extraordinary. Just with the finance costs, there's a variance there of 303,000, so it's dropped from last year. I just wanted to check why that was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Susie Jarvis?
Thank you, through you, Mr Chair. That decrease, councillor, is a decrease in our existing loans interest as we pay our loan down. They're the capital. As we pay the capital down, yeah, that's the decrease you'll see in the income statement.
Thank you. Yes, that was in the conversation pieces again, and the facts and figures, and as Councillor Shoemaker has alluded to condense that down onto a couple of pieces of paper, what we're looking at, and what you've got in front of you in the finance team, it's certainly greatly appreciated. So, have we any further commentary or questions? Give you a minute just to browse through that. I see Councillor Duff and Councillor Erkins in deep concentration there. You happy to move on? Yeah? All right. No more further speakers. We have that. I guess that was a previous old one, but all those in favour? Yeah, unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to 6.2, adoption of the South Burnett Regional Council Debt Policy 22-23. Statutory 010 on page 18 of our documents in front of us. The summary is South Burnett Regional Council recognises that loan borrowings, debt for capital works are an important funding source and that the full costs of infrastructure should not be borne entirely by present-day ratepayers and should also be contributed to by future ratepayers who will also benefit. Whilst recognising the importance of loan borrowings, Council will seek to reduce dependence on borrowings in order to minimise the impact on rating increases needed to fund the debt servicing and redemption. And it is the officer's recommendation. The committee recommends to Council that the amended version of the South Burnett Regional Council Debt Policy 2022-2023, Statutory 010, be adopted as presented. Do we have a mover on that? Councillor Potter, a seconder. Councillor Shoemaker, do we have any speakers? Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, I think the review of the debt policy has been comprehensive. I know we've had conversations about the opportunity to use debt as a mechanism. However, at the moment, we have over $30 million worth of debt on our books. And it's good to see those finance costs coming down because we are actually paying out some of those loans. That's a great thing. I just see on page 2 of the debt policy, in terms of proposed new borrowings, Council doesn't intend to borrow anything in the current financial year and has total planned borrowings of $11.8 million over the following 9 financial years for the following identified projects, and that's the Gordon Brook Dam spillway is the main thing kind of hanging over our head. I just wanted to, I guess, point that out and confirm that with Manager Lowe that spillway, the work that are happening behind the scenes, we had a discussion about potentially borrowing those funds this year and starting that. However, we've decided to wait it out until we have more information about the Gordon Brook Dam spillway project. I just wanted to confirm my understanding of that and use our cash at this point in time if we needed to.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that's correct. So we're waiting the results on that review assessment on the risk assessment as to whether the AFC upgrades have to proceed in full or in part. So until we get that risk assessment carried out and the department approves of that, if the result is a reduction in scope of works, then we'll review the actual need in the following years. So potentially we can reduce our predicted loan borrowings, yes.
Thank you, Manager Lowe. Just an important paragraph here, and we know ourselves only too well. 3.6 in the proposed borrowings, and one of the dot points there. This project, and I guess in time, certainly some positive media around this, but the project is required to meet legislative obligations under the Water Supply Safety and Reliability Act 2008 and Dam Safety Conditions DS 16 dam upgrade to a minimum AFC requirements. This is something that council has to do. So there's a lot of work, and appreciate that, Manager Lowe, in that. There's a lot of figures and there's a lot of zeros on the end of it, but this is a legislative requirement that council is obligated to fulfil. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room would be liking us to say we're not going to do that, but that's not going to happen. Councillor Duff.
Through you, Acting Chair, just to the CEO, Mark, I thought that there were still negotiations around the potential that we may not have to do there was still talk, it was still happening, like there were still negotiations around options. So just like to get some feedback from CEO Mark as to where that's at.
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Yeah. Thank you, Acting Chair. Thanks for the question, Councillor Duff. Yeah, we are continuing to, unfortunately, I can't advise that we've finalised yet, but we're continuing to have the discussions with the department about the most sensible use for the money and the volume or quantum of funds required. Safety is certainly the first consideration of the department and council, and anything that we do with the dam wall upgrade will have that main focus. And that was when we had the discussion about pushing back the loans from this year into next financial year. By Christmas of this year, we should have if all goes well with the discussions with the department, a much greater idea of the quantum and the requirement of works and the scope of works required. So, yeah, no, you're correct, Councillor Duff. There is discussion still ongoing.
Thank you, CEO Mark. I just, to you, Acting Chair, just wanted to flag that it was my view that we should consider still the potential of borrowing for that offside storage. So I guess this is just is that can still be debated, or is that in the chamber? Because I know that we're still talking about the W4Q projects and the potential of using that money for that, or still borrowing or taking it out of some money that may be available further down the track out of Manager Tim's budget. So just wanted to flag that.
Yeah, I'll just pass this to GM Susie Jarvis. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Councillor Duff, this policy has been changed in accordance with what Council decided at the workshop, and it's basically saying that we're not borrowing anything in the next financial year. So this is an annual policy that we adopt in line with our budget. So and that's, we have stated that we intend to, within the next 9 years or 10 years, after we adopt this for next year, is that we intend to borrow for 11.8 million. But like I said, this is only getting us through the next 12 months. So you can review it anytime.
Happy with that.
Manager Jarvis. Councillor Shoemaker.
Just a point of clarification for the chamber, I believe it wasn't the Offstream Storage that we've debated heavily that has been discussed. It was the Mount Warulin reservoir, and I just want to confirm with Manager Lowe, the Offstream Storage at Gordon Brook Dam, it was my understanding we had submitted an application for building our regions funding, and I just wanted to confirm if there's any indication as to when we may receive notification of that funding.
Thank you, Manager Lowe.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so the first part, I guess, is the Offstream Storage is subject to a application for the BOR. The submission's closed, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. We still haven't, so we've done the final submission. We got through the final round. Regarding the loaning of money or deferring, so we had the 800,000 that has been quoted. That was actually for the AFC upgrades, but we felt that we could delay borrowing it this financial year and absorb that in our operations if subject to the results of the assessment on the risk assessment on the AFC upgrades. The other 2 million that's been discussed is about the Warulin Reservoir and the different project of whether you replace or renew or do both. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you, Manager Lowe. Thank you, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Duff, happy with that? Thank you, Councillor Erkins.
Can I just have a little bit of clarification, because I don't actually understand. Can you just clarify what's happening. So Gordon Brook Dam needs to be extended. I'll leave it to you. And then right through to the storage, the reservoir in Kingaroy, how it actually works.
Yeah, thank you, Manager Lowe. Can I just perhaps also, Councillor Erkins, on a dot point there on page 22, it says that under our legal requirements, increase the spillway capacity of the dam. There's no increase in dam capacity in what's proposed for Gordon Brook Dam. But Manager Lowe, you can clarify that some more. Yeah, but if also, Councillor Erkins, if you read there, the requirement is to the infrastructure in order to achieve the acceptable flood capacity of or 1 in a 10,000 year event. It's not increasing the capacity of that dam 1 litre. And we've all sat here like yourself and thought, really, that amount of money? But this is a legal requirement of Gordon Brook Dam that does not give it 1 litre more storage. Councillor Lowe. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon, Councillor Lowe. Manager Lowe.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so you're correct. So the AFC upgrades is it's about the discharge capacity of the spillway. So we actually have to lengthen the width of the spillway opening to allow more water out at a quicker rate. So it doesn't increase our storage volume at all. And as Councillor Hinton said, we're spending an awful lot of money with no gain for the community whatsoever. Regarding the Offstream Storage, I think that was part of your other question, was so the idea of the Offstream Storage with the pipeline coming from Boonuma, it's getting increasingly in age. It's increasing. The maintenance activities on there are going for longer periods. Sometimes we have 1 and 2 weeks, but with the ageing network, the Sunwater maintenance schedules can be pushing out to 6 weeks, and so we've got to have an alternative to just using 100% Gordon Brook. So at this point in time, we actually blend 70% Boonuma water and 30% Gordon Brook. In the instances where we've had to go back to 100% Gordon Brook, depending on the level of water in the system, if it's down below 50% capacity, it is a very, very hard water to treat, and it doesn't give us very good results at all. So the idea is to be able to buffer that by an off-stream storage that will give us probably 6 to 8 weeks of additional storage, so that if should the pipeline go down, we can actually still be treating. Correct, yes. Yeah, so it would be stored at Gordon Brook on an off-stream storage, but it'll come off our pipeline. See, our pipeline, we've got an offtake off the Boonuma line that comes into the Gordon Brook treatment plant, and so we'll just store that off on site. And the third question was the Woorollen. Okay, so after the treatment plant has done its job, the clear treated water is stored at Woorollen, and then it then distributes to all our reservoirs in town. So the roof got partially ripped off on that in the storm last year in October. So we've got a temporary structural tarp in place at the moment. So there's two thoughts of how to do this. One is to build temporary demountable storage so that we can take maintain a certain supply through town while we actually drain that reservoir to actually construct the roof. Or we could go to the tilt panel type setups and build a 5 meg reservoir there, which is ultimately in our 10-year plan. That's our first step to solving the network issues in Kingaroy. Does that help? Or?
Speaker, Councillor Ecker, speaker, please.
Going on then to the one in Kingaroy that we've been talking about, the reservoir in Kingaroy.
That's in the ultimate. So the main subject is out at Woorollen. It's an additional reservoir there as a source water, and then in the future years, what we class as the ultimate solution of network upgrades in pipes, and then we end up with a reservoir on the eastern side of Kingaroy. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. I guess this became a very hot topic in council prior to October last year when Bundooma Dam was sitting at 25% and Gordon Brook Dam was well under 50%, which made our water treatment and Manager Lowe's job extremely difficult. Sunwater, they did implement cleaning of the grates there last year, Manager Lowe, is that correct?
Through you, Chair, yes. So Sunwater were proposed, it's on the fish screens. Fortunately, they couldn't actually get a contractor to do that work, but they were proposing to be out for 6 weeks. And that would have put council in a very precarious position.
That's what made us extremely nervous, Councillor Erkins, and one of the good things that comes out when we went to Mackay to that LGA conference, we had a discussion and Manager Lowe has followed up that with the Rural and Reservoir in relation to the conversation we had last week with storage capacity and what we could possibly build there for what dollars we could spend. That was a figure of 2, perhaps we could come in under that. So that was serious talks in these chambers last year. Our water storages, and you've only got to have a look at what happened down at Stanthorpe to start trucking in 80 B-double loads of water per day is a scary thought. So all right, us sitting here now thinking everything's honky-dory with our dams by washing, but it's still a major issue that we have and one that needs to be rectified somewhere down the track. All right, no further comments or questions, speakers on that? Move on, all those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you. We move on now to 6.3 on page 25, setting of a discount on rates for the year 22-23. The recommendation to the committee, or the committee recommends to council that pursuant to section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the differential general rates, wastewater, utility charges, water access charges, refuse collection charges made and levied shall be subject to an early payment discount of 10% if paid within the discount period of 30 days of the date of issue of the rate notice, provided that 1. All the aforementioned rates and charges are paid within 30 days of the date of issue of the rates notice. And 2, all other rates and charges appearing on the rate notice that are not subject to discount are paid within 30 days of the date of issue of the rate notice. And 3, all other overdue rates and charges relating to the rateable assessment are paid within 30 days of the date of the issue of the rate notice. Do we have a mover? Councillor Shoemaker, second to Councillor Duff. We have some speakers or comments on that. Councillor Shoemaker.
Yes, thank you. Fully supportive of the discount on the rates. I think it's an incentive to have people pay on time, and I think that's very important in terms of our maintaining our cash revenue in council and being able to continue to fund the services we provide. My question was just going to be, I understand we've reduced quite significantly over these last 2 years the outstanding, the number of people or residents with outstanding rates, and I just wanted to confirm what our current percentage of ratepayers with outstanding rates actually is.
Councillor Shoemaker, thank you. Manager GM Sudi Jarvis.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Chair. They vary from month to month, Councillor, the percentage, but I believe, and our Manager Kerry is, I think, doubly checking, but last time I checked, it was around the 5 million was the outstanding rates amount. However, we are, through a council resolution, in the process of selling rates in arrears. We have a meeting with the person who has been contracted to pursue this sale, and through this process a lot of the rates have dropped significantly, the outstanding rates, as we've been people have been paying there. But I'll hand it over to Manager Kerry. She's got it live right there on her computer.
Yes, through you, Mr Chair. So I've just had a look. So at the end of May, we were down to 9.22%. Which is quite good, and it's one of the lowest that we've had in quite a while.
Sorry, thank you.
Sorry, through you, Mr Chair. 7% is our target, Councillor.
Thank you, Jim. Susie Jarvis, just, and I know I wrote it down, but could you clarify in relation to early rates and select the right wording here, I guess, council does not collect something like 2 point something million in revenue with early paid rates? That's quite a large figure, and it's certainly some great incentive for people to pay their rates early when we read and some communication with neighbouring councils are doing away with that, which is effectively a 10% rate increase. So that's an interesting figure that council offers to our ratepayers, that it is over, I believe, over $2 million with that 10% discount. Could I go? Yes, Councillor Erkins first.
Can I just ask, through you, Mr Chair, the 9.22% outstanding rates, is that does that include people whose rates are outstanding but they have a payment plan?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that's correct. So that does include anybody who's on a payment arrangement as well, which we do have. A vast majority of our ones that are overdue are generally on some sort of payment plan.
Thanks, Councillor Erkins. Councillor Potter.
Yeah, it was mentioned the other day, and we've talked about it beforehand with regards to our the policy that we have for people who can't pay their rates. So is it possible to maybe put a copy of that within the rates notice or mention it at the bottom of a rates notice for people who are having trouble paying?
Yes, thanks,
Our
Councillor
hardship
Potter. We did
policy?
talk with that last week.
Is that something that we can do?
Susie Jarvis, yep.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Manager Kerry and I actually had a discussion yesterday with the printers of our rate notices going forward to see if we could find some efficiencies in that there as well. And we did raise the issue about inserts into our rate notices and the costs associated with doing this. And we did agree that this form of communication was pretty well antiquated. So we're having another meeting with the supplier, and we're looking at providing links, which we do. We do make motherhood statements to say, if you need, please contact council's webpage. You know, we have a hardship policy. So we're thinking of incorporating all of these links to say, you know, to go here if you need more advice here and that. So that was a conversation yesterday, councillor, but the costs associated with inserting them into the rates notices, and I have been approached by other organisations, charities, to have their things included. Their costs are onerous for council, especially when under our operational plan, council has requested we go paperless. So, so the way around that is to provide the associated link.
As a sort of a follow-on through you, Mr. Chair. So, you know, the people that won't have computers are the people that won't, a lot of them may be on a low, extremely low or low fixed income, whether it's Centrelink or age pension or something like that. So they're the people we need to get at, and they're the ones that won't have a computer. A, because they can't afford it, B, because they don't know how to use one and they've never used one. So we're not going to be, I can't see us going fully paperless, because there are always going to be people out there that won't be able to do that. So that's why I think it's quite important that even if we write something on the bottom of our rates notice, it doesn't have to be an insert. It could be something typed along the bottom saying, if you're having financial difficulties, please call us, or something like that. We can help you work out a payment plan. Just, it doesn't have to be big, but it's got to be in there where they can actually read it, and not just the people that are online be able to get that information.
Thanks, Manager Jarvis. Yeah.
Through
Go to Councillor Shoemaker.
through the chair, just my only question with this one, just noting the increases in cost of living and the challenges families really are facing. With the days that we've got here, the 30 days of issue of the rate notice, is that 30 days a statutory time frame, or is it possible to amend that 30 days, and what would the implications be? Is that a problem, like in terms of a system, the system that we have that allows that 30 days. If we were to say 40 days, would that create issues with the system that we have currently, or is that an option?
Yeah, through you, Manager Jarvis.
Yes.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. So from what I know of the system is that we put in a bit of a due date plan, so we can have, from my knowledge, we would be able to have more than 30 days if we needed, as what we would class as the due date, which is sort of when we offer the discount up until that due date. So it would be possible. We might just have to have a look into like the regulations, the local government regulations and the Local Government Act, just to make sure that they don't have in there anything that says, discount is for 30 days or anything like that. That would stop, extending that for any period of time.
Yeah, that's probably a feasible point, Councillor Shoemaker, but at the same time, we've talked around this for 12 months. I guess the thing that would be to encourage people would be to ask for assistance in payment plan. If we drag it out, when we have a payment plan, an option there for them, and I'm sure, and again, as Councillor Potter alluded to, certainly implementing that and making sure it's portrayed in the right manner, that people are encouraged to seek a payment plan if they're having difficulty, because if we drag it out for another 10 or 20 or 30 days, that may be awkward for our rates department, but I certainly appreciate what you're saying, Councillor Shoemaker. Councillor Erkins.
I just want to follow up on what Councillor Potter said. I think something on the bottom of the rates notice, would be really good, because I think one of the most important things for people who have difficulties is the earlier they get onto a plan, the better it is. And sometimes, I think I've spoken before, if people are, especially now with the increases in everything, people are going to be struggling, I believe, and the earlier they get onto a plan and the earlier they know about the plan, because people do tend to get a little overwhelmed when they've got a lot of accounts coming in. And if we can just sort of contact them earlier and let them know, I think that's better. So I agree with what Councillor Potter, it doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't, in fact, a lot of times, inserts, I don't think people even read the inserts that come, but they do read that rate notice. So just something on the bottom saying that, I think would be really good.
Yeah, that's a good comment, Councillor Erkins. And I think anyone would be aware that anyone that is in financial difficulty, the first thing they throw in the bin is the bills. When they arrive, they don't want to know, or don't want to see them. So if we can implement a friendly reminder or something that's encouraging on rates notices, perhaps we can look into that in some shape or form.
Thank you.
Any other commentary, comments, questions? No?
Can I just respond to Jane about that? Can I just respond to Jane about that hardship?
Yeah, certainly, Manager
Thank
Sudi
you.
Jarvis, in relation to Councillor Erkins' question.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor Erkins, and we'll definitely note those comments from Councillor Potter and yourself. Beg your pardon. And look, that won't even be, I don't even think it'll be an issue after the conversation we had yesterday with our printers and that. And again, we were actually discussing those inserts, and it costs us, I think, $1.30 or something to post every rate notice, and it costs us 15 cents to email rates notices. So that's just an example there of the cost savings to council there if people choose to go electronically. However, I believe our current process now for overdue rates is once we send a reminder for overdue rates, we also, I think, in the content of the letter is to say, if you are experiencing financial difficulty, to please contact the rates department there, and they will assist you. Council has a hardship policy adopted. And I must admit, the girls are very compassionate, because there are a lot of people suffering out there. And the last thing that we want to do is to drive them further and further into debt. So once they qualify for the hardship policy, the actual interest on the rate stops. So they're only paying back the principal. So this is what we encourage them to do. And like I said, they're treated with a lot of respect, and they're treated very, very confidentially. And we always encourage, and part of the discussion with anything as far as overdue rates or even debtors is that if you are having difficulty even honouring the payment plan, please contact us. You need to speak to us, and then we can work something else out. There's an alternative. So the staff are very, very good at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Susie Jarvis, is there any other further commentary, comments or questions?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Potter.
Thank you, Chair. Look, as a follow-on from my question and Councillor Erkin, so it's great that we do that in that follow-up overdue, rates notice, but it really does need to be in that very first one, because that's when they need it the most, because that does give them an extra 4 weeks to sort their stuff out, which is an extra 4 weeks of payments out of their low incomes.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Potter. I think perhaps a media release on that as well to encourage people to know that that's going to be implemented or added as a note on their rates notices. I think that's important to get out there to the public just as a courtesy. So if that could be noted. No further comments, questions? No? So all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to number 7 in the confidential section. The council's officers. Oh no. Oh, sorry. Like confidential section, of course, move a motion to go into confidential under section 254J of the local government regulation, to have a mover. That, Councillor Duff, thank you very much. Seconded, Councillor Potter. So we'll now move into confidential section. So just give us a minute to. All those in favour? Yeah. This is in relation to the salary component operational budget. This matter is considered to be confidential. Under 254J of the local government regulation, and council is satisfied that the discussion of this matter in an open meeting would on balance be contrary to the public interest as it deals with the local government's budget. All those in favour? Moved unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll now go into confidential. Should be right. Okay. Well, welcome back. We've come out of confidential at 11:57. Oh, sorry, Councillor Shoemaker. Sorry, I was just reading.
Through you, Chair, I would like to move that the matter be laid on the table until the next
Okay.
Budget Standing Committee meeting next week, so that it can be discussed with the full council present, noting that both our Mayor and Deputy Mayor aren't present.
Thank you. So, Councillor Shoemaker, you've moved that the matter be laid on the table until the next Budget Committee meeting. Do we have a second for that? Councillor Duff? Any speakers for or against that? No? Thank you. Could we have those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And with that, I call no further business. The meeting to a close at 11:57. Thank you for attendance and have a great afternoon and a great weekend. Can I just put a quick plug in for the Relay for Life tomorrow, sharp 9 a.m. Wonderful event, creating a lot of interest and generating some wonderful sponsorship and donations to Relay for Life. So on that note, have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you.